Bennett Davison with a EuroHooplife recording. John, how you doing this afternoon?
It's wonderful. Thanks for having me on with you, bud.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for getting on. I know where to find everybody with this corona. Everyone's in front of their computers.
Where's everybody going?
So today we're going to talk about Saitama. This is the team name.
Yeah.
And in Japan, what city was Saitama in?
So Saitama is actually part of a state, right? A prefecture they call it. So it's called Saitama, but we were located in a little subset there called Tokorozawa.
Okay. And so how was that the whole experience? How'd you get over there? What was the city like? Kind of give the information to someone watching this, whether it be a wife or a player, what to expect when they get over there.
Yeah, so what happened was years ago, I had a gentleman come from Japan who came to watch the Drew League and was fascinated about it here. And he ran into a player, and that player told him to contact me for more information, insight, and helping him. So that's what I did. I just helped him out, didn't know him. And so years later, he contacts me this past October and says, there's an opening, would you like to come to Japan? And the timing is everything, so the timing was perfect. And yeah, I took a chance at it and went in there, and it's a fantastic place.
Now, is it a metropolis? Because I know a lot of us, I did a little tour in China, and like, we're going to a small town, and the town was 6 million people. So what was it like over? Was it a metropolis? Was it a small town where you can kind of concentrate, or was it like a metropolis, big city?
No, thankfully this was outside north of Tokyo, so it was fantastic. It wasn't a booming metropolis. You could walk around, you could be quiet, you could have thoughts. It was like a neighborhood.
How far would you say from Tokyo?
So it's an hour away from Tokyo. Okay. And with that said in mind, it's kind of like what's considered the suburbs. Right. So if you look at city life versus the suburb life, that's exactly what it was like.
Awesome. So when you got there, what were the facilities like? The medical, like every country, you never know what to expect. I was in Dominican Republic, and I had to tape my own teammates' ankles because their trainers like, hey, that's a good job. How'd you tape your ankles like that? It's like I had to teach the trainer how to tape ankles the proper way. What was it like?
Yeah. Man, I know that same experience being in other countries. But not in Japan. Man, this was the best I've ever seen. We actually had 4 trainers at practice at times, okay. And they would do everything from taping the ankle to treatment of the athlete. It was extremely done. But okay. Every day there was a trainer with us at practice and on the games, so they had consistency with somebody who had intimate knowledge of their bodies.
And you said it was just October in 2019, so this is just really recent. This is about 6-7 months ago.
Yeah, so this is when I was there. We were there in October, and it's a 60-game season, so we got to the halfway point to the end of February. It was, that's about our 40th game, and we're hitting the home stretch, and we're ready to go, and the virus scenario kind of hits. We take a week off, not sure. Then they do another week. Then it turns into 2 more. And then therefore now there's nowhere to go. Yeah.
Okay. So when you get there, and I'd actually done an interview with 2 other players, Aaron Maxey and Lynn Washington, both big guys, stuff that I played with, trained with in California in the summer leagues and stuff. Great guys. They say Japan is immaculate. They're very professional. They have shoes. They give you X amount of shoes. They give you a great facility. They said they loved their whole experience. And I think Lynn was there 8 years or something like that. So what was it kind of like, just as a recommendation as a coach for you giving knowledge to somebody else?
Yeah, because the Japanese, it's a first world nation, right? So Japan is used to law and order kind of scenarios, right? So it's a strict disciplinary type of scenario, right? There's respect level that you got to pay. There's also the biggest thing is that it's on time. Everything is on time, but pristine. I've never seen in a country where there was no trash. Where people go about their business and don't stare at you. When I was in China, they would stare at you. I definitely was not the same color.
You're so tall. You're so tall. Yeah, everyone's like, whoa.
That didn't happen. Did not happen in Japan, and everyone was respectful and moving on and doing things. The facilities are outstanding. They're big. They're professional. It's a whole show. There's cheerleaders. There's the whole, the lights out, the whole mixing, television revenue, all games televised. And like I said, the athletes are treated great.
It's a well-oiled production and business.
it is just like anything else. It's the philosophy there is Kaizen, and Kaizen means, the constant, never ending improvement. And so was refreshing, because after a loss in many other countries that I've been in, you're going to have to explain it.
Yeah.
And, how do you explain a loss, man?
Yeah.
It's
it happens.
difficult.
You're going to lose some.
But in some countries, man, they expected that game was like the championship and it's March, and, and you don't finish till later. Yeah. But that was refreshing for me, because in Japan, it was like the president of the team was like, "That's the way it goes, man. I mean, we got 60 games."
He's realistic.
Yeah, it was great. So it took some time to get used to it, because after a loss, I really thought like, "Oh man, here we go."
I'll have to be up till 4 a.m. telling the
Not
same
even
story
close.
over and over.
I took a serious loss one night, and it was my own internal loss that I was feeling, right? And I was, for lack of a better word, putting the stress on myself and pouting in my room, right? And I wasn't going to go out to eat. I wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
And he understood that, and he brought dinner to me.
Oh,
and
nice.
He's like, "Let it go, man. We got another game tomorrow."
Yeah.
And let's go. Let's go somewhere. And that was absolutely refreshing, because
awesome.
The player expectations, it's the same. Do you want to yell at a player? Do you think he's going to get any better? Short term, brings them back to reality, but long term, you're like, it's a race.
You get more results with sugar than salt.
You do, especially in the timeout, with these athletes, because it's duality of language too. You don't have a whole lot of time to get the point across.
You only got 30-second timeout. You can't dual translate.
So you want it specific. You want them to understand, but you also want them to go out there and take that risk, take the shot, feel like a hero, because at some point you might have that ball in your hands for that shot, and you don't want to be feeling
with confidence. Well,
I don't want them looking at me.
So if you had a younger player, and a lot of these situations why I'm doing these interviews is saying you have 3 contracts. You have one in Turkey for $300,000, who's unreliable and doesn't pay on time. You have a $200,000 in Japan, but it's going to be a great living situation. It's very, very clear. Yeah. Or you can have $150,000 in Australia. Coming out of college, a lot of these players just say, "Hey, I want the $300,000." He's like, "No, don't pass up Japan, because your payday's on Sunday. They're going to pay you on a Friday. In Australia, you're going to be living a block from the beach, and you play 1 game per week, and you have 2 practices, 3 practices per week, and it's a good life, and you don't have the culture shock of not being in the United States." So, if you were to guide someone, say in Japan, how would your overall rating of it be? And recommendations for a new player just not knowing what to expect out of Japan?
Yeah, that's the thing. A seasoned veteran clearly understands what that's like to not receive payments and not get them at all. I mean, that's part of the international basketball world, unfortunately. But it's not about the location either. It's about the people. People matter. Buildings don't really matter. People do, and how they operate on a daily basis. You're 100% right. In Japan, I never worried about receiving payment. And here's a testament to what I'm telling you. We were done playing in February. We still got paid all of March, all of April, all of May.
Wow.
And that's living up to their word, because that was the term of my contract. I never expected that. And I even told my athletes, don't expect it, because this is an act of God. They have every right not to pay. But that's not who they are.
That's not their culture, their way of handling business.
And that's to the point was the contract, and it was to your deposit without any questions. They were never late, not
awesome.
1 second.
Well, it sounds like it's a good place for someone to be able to stay for a long period of time. Yeah. And at the same time, that you said there was and all the other players were saying they have a lot of different leagues. It's a great culture. It's just right out on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. And just a great culture to be able to go out and play your basketball career, because our body and ability to put a ball in a hole is what our widget or our
it doesn't last long, so that's the whole thing too. Basketball players, it's a short life. Doesn't last long. So what are you looking for? You're looking for some longevity, some normalcy, and some expectations that you can realistically go with, because you don't want to have to be questioned every day after you took a loss, Ben.
Absolutely.
Or go find what happened to your owner. How come you guys didn't get paid? And you're going to go look for him and he's somewhere else.
Yep.
You don't ever want that scenario.
Yep.
But you also don't want to be.
You're well versed in the the FIBA shadiness of the world that we live in. So, John, thank you for your time into Japan. I'm gonna be putting this up on, and feel free to be able to use this. I'm gonna put your first and last name in on the beginning of the interview, so everyone knows how to find you and reach out to you.
Awesome, fantastic. I look forward to it, and I'm an open book. You guys can always ask me questions.
Outstanding. Thanks, John.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate it. Thanks, Ben.